Today we are playing with another Labocosmetica product. This is Idrosave, which is their rinseless product. And if you know Omni Garage, you know that we're on the journey at the moment to try out pretty much every rinseless wash that we can get our hands on. We're really enjoying the journey, and Idrosave will probably be the 20th product that we've tried in this category. So what we've got behind us here is a moderately dirty Tesla Model Y. It's winter time here in New Zealand, and it has been raining this past week. So as you can see on the lower part of the car here, I'm really going to tick some people off and just rub my finger there. But
some people will say this isn't dirty. Some people will say there's dirt. Some people will say it's cleaner than my underpants. I don't know, but there's dirt on there.
It is pretty dirty in our, as far as we let cars go dirty. I mean, X marks the spot down there. You can see that the lower parts of this car have had a lot of, road film come up on it. Got some like grass or hay. I don't know where you've been travelling here, but I don't think you're going to try and tackle that. And this is the downside of doing a rinseless wash. In the wintertime, you could get a really thorough clean of these areas here by actually using a pressure washer and agitating with specific wheel tools. That's not something that we're going to be doing today with our rinseless wash. That's something that we can leave for when we go and do that full contact wash with the pressure washer. But I'm excited. I love rinseless wash products. Glenn's got me hooked on them since probably, 12 months ago. And I'm excited to try another one because the Labocosmetica range of soaps is something we've been playing with lately. And I've really enjoyed some of them, in particular, the scent. Now this one here probably doesn't match up to some of the
other soaps.
It's
have a smell in there.
It's fruity.
Fruity. Gives a geese.
You hear this stuff?
Oh, just do what everyone else does on the YouTube.
A nice
fresh scent.
Yep.
It is quite fruity.
That's good. That's good.
Even if we say what the scent is, someone will chime in and think it's
not as good as some of the other ones on the market. But I'm hoping the performance of this is going to be right up there. So this is actually a little bit different to some of the other products that we like to use. So this is a polymer and surfactant based cleaner, but it has nanosealant technology in it as well. So what that means in simple terms is it is going to leave behind a lot more protection than some of the other rinseless washes that we like to use. So that protection means we don't necessarily need to come behind with a drying aid. We can dry this as we go, and we're going to have the UV protection. It's going to enhance the gloss a little bit, and we're also going to have some hydrophobic properties that are introduced into the paint here. So hopefully with the winter driving, we'll be able to really put this to test over the next couple of weeks. But this is 256 to 1, so we know.
I thought the dilutions were slightly different.
I thought it was on the House of Rags website. It says, oh guys, we're going to need to update that on the House of Rags. It says 256 to 1 there. This is saying 1 to 200, so 3 caps in 6 litres of water. So I'm not actually going to use this. I will use the cap today because I have 18 litres of water in here. So I need to do, what was that?
So for clarification on the bottle, it says what? 1 to 200?
1 to 200.
And can you confirm that it says 256 to 1 on the website?
I can confirm that.
Let me check. You talk away and I'll check.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is 6 caps into the bucket here. We've got 18 litres of nice warm water mixed up in here. So this is a pretty milky looking product.
Yes, it does say 256 to 1. So I don't know if you're going to see, but on my phone there, I've got the website up and you can see 1 to 256. Dilute the product in water with the ratio of 1 to 256, meaning 1 ounce of product to 2 gallons of water. And that's a typical dilution of rinseless wash. That sort of seems to be the gold standard, but just seems to be a little bit different.
Have a look at the bucket there.
So you can definitely see the milkiness, and typically milkiness means that there's, polymers and maybe some other stuff going on there. And that's probably, what you're seeing, the milkiness is probably part of that nanosealant.
So before anyone corrects my math, we have 18 litres of water in here. So that equals 9 caps.
So you've got to add another 3 caps.
I've got to add another 3.
Man, you've got the biggest bucket of water in there.
Yeah, 18 litres. I think that's ample amount to do rinseless. So we've got the DIY detail sponge here. Give this a bit of a mix up. Doesn't get very foamy at all, which is good.
And I think that the DIY Detail Rinseless Sponge is probably one of the goats of rinseless wash sponges.
Yeah.
I think what's really important there, can you show us the slits on the sponge there? So people who are new to rinseless washing, we like to use a sponge. You can use microfiber towels where you can dump a whole heap in the bucket and you can use those and do it one at a time, but we like the sponge. The sponge has got the slits in it, so that allows somewhere for the dirt and grime to go to, but it also allows you to basically contour the sponge to the surface of the vehicle, and that helps to prevent pressure points. So we're basically distributing the same amount of pressure throughout the surface of the vehicle, and so we like a sponge. Dirt and grime goes into the sponge when we're finished cleaning the panel, then we dump it in the bucket, and a good rinseless wash should be able to pull out the dirt and grime from that sponge and put it into the bucket, so that then when we return back to the panel, we have a nice clean sponge to go again.
What we're using here today is, just like any other week, the IK sprayer. This is the Multi-Pro 2 360. And we find this is super handy for our rinseless washing. Better than a spray bottle.
Yeah, I think a spray bottle, you get finger trigger fatigue by having to go around the whole vehicle over a period of time, and so spray bottle I really enjoy using, although I don't have one at my place to cleanse the
we do need to order you one. We've got to get you one, but we're kind of waiting on the electrics. But I know the electric is not available in the Multi-Pro at the moment. It is the Foam Pro, so unless we do a bit of mixing with the top and kind of make our own little contraption. Anywho, we're going to spray from top to bottom.
And walk us through why we like to do a bit of a pre-spray before we get into contact.
Well, the whole idea with a rinseless is that when you spray this product on, the surfactants in here are going to essentially start eating away at the dirt by encapsulating it, number one. So the dirt is going to be encapsulated into the water droplets that we've got here, and then the rinseless product will start, or should start, to emulsify, so break down that dirt that we've got. Now, we like to work in sections. We're working in the garage tonight, so we don't have any sunlight that's playing into it, which means we can work bigger sections here as we go. But we do like to stay organised when we use a product like this, so we're going to probably work, at maximum 2 doors, 2 windows worth. So I might spray this down here at the same time, actually, and we'll do half of the roof.
I can't smell that rinseless at all.
No, there's really no scent to it. Even if you're at the bucket, it's like, there's a little bit straight out of here, but as you're spraying it, definitely not. There are a couple of other products on the market that you really can spray or you can smell in the environment when you're working on it. This isn't one of them. So if you're a big scent person, and that's an important characteristic for you in your rinseless wash, this might not be the one for you.
Does it feel slick in the bucket if you rub your hands together?
Rub my hands together. Yeah, it does. But again, this is really subjective. I would need to have a bucket made up of 3 or 4 other products to go, yeah, it's better than this one, better than that one, on par with this one. It feels slick-ish, and it should, because it's got that nano-sealant, or the nano-sealant properties in it. So it's advertising it's going to leave your vehicle slick. So it should feel slick on your hands at the same time.
So we've let that soak and dwell on the surface for a little bit of time. Now, this is another real pain point. This is something that someone's going to complain about, is that how much liquid should I have in the sponge? Well, you don't want the sponge to be too wet, and you don't want the sponge to be too dry. If it's too wet, there's no place for the dirt and grime to go into the sponge. If it's too dry, you probably haven't got enough lubrication on the surface to do any cleaning. And so you want the sponge at the point of dripping. That's very subjective, because, I can shake it and we can get 1 or 2 drops.
That way, can't you?
Or I can... Would we say we're happy with that?
I think we're happy with that.
Okay.
You don't want it to be super dry.
And I just apply no pressure. I let the cleaning chemical basically do everything for me. And so I'm just swiping this across the surface, and I'm just picking up that dirt as we go.
So this car that we're working on has no protection on it at the moment. So no ceramic coating. So we've got nothing to really interfere with feeling the true characteristics of this product.
And then once you've done like a panel, you can go a little bit further on glass, but then when you've done a panel, flip the sponge over, you've got another clean surface, and you can come in and attack the next area of the vehicle. And then a simple dunk into the bucket. We will show you how well this product does at cleaning, but this is the other aspect, is that I really want this rinseless wash to take all that dirt that I've collected in the sponge. I want it to pull it out, and I want it to put it into the bucket. And I want that to sort of happen in 1 or 2 dunks, so that I have a nice clean surface to then come and attack the next panel of the vehicle.
What are you feeling for slickness now you've starting to interact with some paint?
It's not as slick as some of the others on the market.
Yeah.
So some of the others that are on the market, you can buy these all from the House of Rags. So if you want to go and purchase a product, go to thehouseofrags.com. You can use the word Omnigarage, all one word. That will save you 10% at checkout. But you can buy Idrosave, which isn't the slickest I'm feeling. Pan the Organizer is actually quite a good rinse wash. That is quite slick. Eddie's from EC Details. The detail code Nemesis, that rinse wash is quite slick.
DIY Detail V2 as well. It's another one of our favourites.
Is slick. I think the slickest on the market is FinLab.
V3.
So FinLab V3 is very slick. The downside to that product is it leaves the surface quite wet, and so you've got to kind of work hard at drying it.
Now this is not something that you want to allow to dry on the paint. Labocosmetica make that pretty clear in the advertising for this product. And I think that's partly to do with the nano-sealant protection that it leaves behind, is that you want to treat it almost like a drying aid when you get to the drying stage. But I mean, you don't really want to let any rinseless wash dry on the paint. We actually are doing a test on the other side of the car right now where we've just sprayed it on and we are allowing it to dry just to see what it looks like. Because generally, if you do let a rinseless dry on the car, it is polymer spots that it leaves behind and you can come along and remove them pretty easily. So we'll be able to check on that later. Look at that dirt. Told you it was a dirty car.
So that dirt in there. So now if this is a really good rinseless wash, after sort of one dunk or two dunks, we should have basically no more dirt left on the sponge. So let's try it after one dunk.
Bring it out.
We've still got a bit of dirt on the side there.
Ooh, that's interesting, because if we were doing this test with a lot of other products, we would have nothing left behind there.
So I don't know if that's just on the side of the sponge, but you can see it sort of took one or two dunks to remove majority of this out of the sponge. So I would say compared to others, you're right on the market, it's probably struggling just a little bit.
I think what that means for me is if I was using this product, I would want to make sure that I actually give it a little bit of agitation in the bucket when I'm dunking it, rather than just allowing the one dunk, pull it out, ready to go. But we will do what we call the eddy test at the end of this video. So stay around for that and we'll get a light microfiber and do the proper eddy test. I think the drying characteristics of this are going to be interesting for me because we're not going to add a drying aid over the top of it. This in itself is the cleaner and the protectant. It's be interesting to see when we bring that drying towel out just how easy it is to remove it and how slick it leaves the surface. Still struggling to get that.
I'm still struggling to get that sponge clean, yeah.
Where will you compare the slickness of this?
Oh, I don't think it's sort of mid-pack compared to the others that we have. So I guess this is the second half of the deal of using a rinseless wash. You want a rinseless wash to clean really well. You want it to be able to remove the dirt from the vehicle. But the other half of the rinseless wash is you want it to be able to dry off really easily. I mean, there are quite a few rinseless washes on the market that leave the panel really wet. And those are an absolute nightmare to dry. And so this one here is it's pretty easy to dry off. So I'm happy in that regard. Like it just sort of buffs clean. You don't have to push too hard with it. And so that's really nice, because if it is hard to dry, then you're having to wipe, continuously wipe, continuously wipe. And in some instances, that's where you'd use a drying aid to help assess, or to help, I guess,
speed along the process.
Speed along, but in this case, you're not needing to use a drying aid because of the nano sealant. And so it's really nice to see that this product does dry off really easily.
And now what we can see, you can see it on the window here, is that once Glenn's doing that first wipe, if you stand back a little bit, you can see some smearing that's been left behind. Now, it's not necessarily flashing away, but that's where we're introducing our second towel to get that nice finish. And I think Glenn said off camera, it was that second towel where he's feeling a bit of slickness from this product.
Yeah, it definitely feels slicker on the second wipe off, and so you should expect that, because that's where we're leaving that little bit of protection behind.
It's definitely easy to dry. So it's not like the FinLab product where it's leaving the car really wet and difficult to dry. This is pretty easy to get the panels dry.
And it's hard to see because you've got dirty windows on the inside.
So I think where you potentially want to use this product is where you just want to have one product and you don't want to have a drying aid that you need to spray after the fact. This is going to essentially do a 2-in-1 for you, meaning that you can just spray this on, dry it off. You don't have to have that second product.
So last year at SEMA, we met up with Eddie from the House of Rags or EC Details or wherever you know Eddie from, and He's like the rinseless king. Like, he has tested more rinseless washes than you can ever imagine. He puts them through some really heavy testing. He talks about some cool things. And so one of the things he sort of is the one dunk king, you know. If you have a dirty microfiber, you put it in the bucket of rinseless wash. If it cleans the microfiber, then it's a really good rinseless wash. It cleans really well. And that's important because you want to have a nice clean wash media to go back onto the surface. You don't want to be taking dirt from the bucket or dirt from the other panel and then putting it onto the next. And so we made this microfiber for him, and we actually gave it to him at SEMA because, you know, we really like Eddie, and we named this the Eddie test. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a microfiber, we're going to wet it in some of our rinseless wash here, we're going to go to a really dirty part of the vehicle, maybe the wheel well or something like that, and we're going to show you how well it is at cleaning the microfiber. And so I've got a little square of microfiber here.
Cute little microfiber.
Cute little squares, and well, I had one towel that was light coloured and I cut up into squares. So is it relatively clean?
Super clean.
People are going to moan about there being a bit of dirt on here? Or?
It's clean, it's clean. It's not going to be clean in a second.
Okay, so, I mean, you can tell that we've cleaned the dirty vehicle because look how dirty this bucket of water is like. I mean, you probably can't see it in the light there, but...
Yeah, very different from what it looked like at the start of the wash.
So we'll put this in here, we'll get this nice and wet.
All right, we're going to take the dirt from.
Should we take it from where I showed them at the beginning of the video?
Yeah, we could do that. Or we could actually do the face of the wheel because we haven't cleaned the wheels through this wash.
You want the face of the wheels?
I don't know.
Do you want it on the long head side or the low pile side?
The wheels on the low pile, and then the other side, hit it from the spot we showed earlier.
Oh, get a bit
of tyre going. Yep.
I mean, these wheels don't get very dirty because this car does its sort of own braking. Isn't this like some special vehicle that doesn't run on gasoline or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Are we happy that that's quite dirty?
Yeah, I think the people would agree that that's pretty dirty.
Well, that's pretty clean.
Do you know what? I don't have a whole lot of confidence in this one, just based on what we experienced with the sponge.
So
yeah,
for those who watch the videos know that I love a good wheel well wipe.
Oh, okay. Yep.
You know, I really like to go all out.
Okay, what do we got?
We've got half the farm on the back of this.
Okay, so there's the wheel side.
Wheel side.
And the wheel well side.
No, this is the wheel well. This is the long
okay.
fibred side. This is the wheel faces.
Goodness.
Your vehicle, to some viewers, would say it's quite clean. Like, oh, that's quite clean. The boys from Omnigear said their car was dirty. They only clean dirty vehicles. But actually, I think it's quite clean. Well, I think it's quite dirty. So,
all right, one bucket.
One dunk. The whole idea is to clean this microfiber up. I've been pretty generous with the one dunk.
Yeah, okay, get it out. You got to do a fair one dunk test. Squeeze it out, wring it out. I'm just telling you now, this isn't going to be clean. I know it's not. I know it's not.
So that was the wheel side?
Okay.
No, sorry, that was the undercarriage wheel well side. And this is the wheel side.
Ooh, it's probably one of our worst performers in the Eddie test.
Yes.
I think you've got to put it back in that bucket and give it the good agitate now to see if we can pull that out.
So, I mean, it has taken some of that dirt and grime out of the microfiber. And let's give it the benefit of the doubt that I've actually been really aggressive. And I usually am quite aggressive on the whole testing side of things, especially with this. But
I think it goes to show, though, from what we did earlier in the test, that you need to make sure you're agitating the sponge in the bucket a bit. You can't just rely, with this one, on one dunk to pull it out. You're going to have a better result there. Yeah, see, that's way better. But you've spent a bit of time to get it there. It's not, like, super clean.
So, I mean, it does get there. So, my recommendation is that if you are going to use this rinseless wash, you're right, just give it a couple more wring outs than what you would typically do with your rinseless washes. And I think part of this is because it's got the upside of having that nanosealant in there, and I think that's what's actually the real important thing about this product, is that it's leaving a lot of protection behind. So why would you use this? Because you leave the protection behind. You know, you're not having to get out your drying aid, you're not having to add anything on there, it's already on there. And so this is sort of one product that cleans and also gives you some pretty stout protection behind. So I think that's where you use it, and that's the positive thing about this product.
We just dunked that again.
So after sort of 3 dunks and a bit of human washing machine sort of style, I think we've got it clean. Pretty clean.
Just takes a bit more agitation, this one here.
So like we said at the beginning of the video, this car is not coated, it's not protected, there was no protection on the vehicle, and so now that we've cleaned the vehicle and we've applied the Idrosave, basically the nano sealant rinseless wash, we're going to see what kind of water behaviour we get, we're going to see what sort of protection there is left on the surface, just to see what we're actually working with here. I mean, a couple of sprays and we've already got some water beading.
Yeah, we do. Look, it's beading away down here. I mean, the real test here, yeah, look at that. So it has left some pretty reasonable protection behind. And just for comparison's sake, spray this little bit of the door here because we just did a little section using some drying aid just to see what the difference is. We're getting pretty similar performance across the way, so no doubt this is leaving some pretty reasonable protection behind for us, which should mean that if we don't leave it too long between our next wash, it should make it a whole lot easier to wash and a whole lot easier to dry. And so where we can really test out the hydrophobic properties of Idrosave is by using the leaf blower. We'll see if we can remove it nice and easily. And for a vehicle that doesn't have any protection on it, apart from the rinseless that we've just applied to it, I mean, I think that's pretty good performance. So I think where a product like this is going to be quite handy, it's not the slickest on the market, it's not the best smelling on the market, but I think a product like this is going to be quite handy if you're interested in rinseless washing, but you don't want to have to follow up along with a detail spray or a ceramic spray sealant or anything behind. I think you're going to find that Idrosave will add enough protection to, I mean, you've just seen, to get that kind of water behaviour. And you have obviously there the added UV protection as well, a little bit of an enhancement to the gloss as well. So Idrosave, I think, is a good product if you're looking for an all-in-one.